YouTube, it's Shaker here and we're bringing you another one. Welcome to Tutorial Tuesdays, where we're going to teach you Procreate for beginners. And if you have not already, don't forget to like, subscribe, push that notification, because we're going to keep bringing this stuff to you. So let's get started. Okay, so let's go to Procreate. So assuming you downloaded it, I think it's like $9 or something like that. I don't really know. I bought this when it was like $3. Actually, it was like $7, but it's more expensive now. Let's assume you had it. Of course, you would not have all these files here. Procreate is taking over all of my footage. Whole nother thing. And anyway, so let's just say it comes with like the default. Let's see, restore examples. It'll come with these 4 pieces already built in that a particular artist must have did. I think it's the information's inside. I mean, this piece is just gorgeous. Yeah, it comes with these. It will by default have these 4 pieces already in there, and as you can see, you can get to them at any moment. This one seemed to have been there from the beginning. This is a really beautiful piece. I still enjoy this piece. Anyway, I'm going to delete them because they're not mine, and although they look amazing, yeah. So we're just gonna. So actually, it's a good time to show. So if you ever want to like group images, move them around, at any moment you could just drag any of these. So that's how you move it. Just hold and drag. Okay. If you want to make a group, you would hold. You could use your finger. I'm just using the stylus. You can hold, drag on top of another piece and let go, and then it makes a group. Now it's inside of a group. Okay, or they call it stacks. Okay, so I'm just gonna drop. Oops, I'm just gonna drop this in here. Come on. Okay. Oh well, this is another good example. You can hold, grab the other piece by just selecting whatever you want to select, and then you can go right on top. You have to hold it and then come inside. That's why. Okay. In here, you could easily delete by swiping to the left and then pushing delete and then delete. You could share it from here. You can save the file however you would like to save it and wherever you would like. You can duplicate it. It's going to make a duplicate, which comes in handy later on in moments. Okay, I'm going to delete all these. Actually, I'm just going to do one by one here. Of course, you could delete the whole group, but I'm just going to keep this stack. So I'm just going to go inside, delete. Okay. And then let me see if this deletes. Does it delete the whole group? Yes, it does. So if you delete everything, it would delete the whole group. Okay. So either in the group or here, if you look at the top right, you'll see it says select. So you could select this way, where you just select whatever you want and do all the information you want at the top, make it a stack, do a preview, whatever you want it to be. Okay, you can import from files, from your iCloud drive, anything that's connected, you can import that way. You can also import from a photo, so you can literally just take, a sketch or something you've done or a reference, and it's going to bring it in as a project file. This is a sketch I'm working on. I don't know if we're going to finish it because I'm not really feeling it that much, and plus Spider-Man week is kind of over and everybody's already over it. But anyway, I wish I did it faster. Delete. Okay. Or in most cases, if you go to the top right where it says the plus, you would click plus here. And it does have some preset ones. I don't remember which preset and which ones are not preset. I don't think the one that says Instagram was a preset, but I think I added that one because this is the particular size for Instagram if you're doing a longer stretched out thingamajig. But anyway, you can at the top right where there's this little box here, and click that, and you can do whatever dimensions, whatever sizes. It'll show you all the different amount of layers. Like on the top, it says maximum layers is 400 with 300 DPI. This is a perfect square. I think I already had this set. You can go ahead and make it, or you can use one of the presets. I'm going to use a preset because it's already prepared. Okay, so I'm just going to click the Instagram one. Okay, so now we're inside. So we're actually going to start from the right side, and then we'll go to the left side. Okay, so first you have the brush. Okay, very simple. You have a brush. You can use your finger as well. Oh no, I think it's either in the settings that you have to switch it to finger, or I don't know, maybe we'll cross that bridge when we get to settings, but I think you can use your finger from what I remember. But anyway, if you got the iPad, oh, that's a good thing to know. Procreate is only available on the iPad. So if you don't have an iPad, you're not going to be able to use this. I'm sorry, I should have said that at the top. Is this Dunkin' Donuts inside of a coffee mug? Maybe. Anyway, so there you go. Now, you can change the scale of your brush at the top. In the middle is a color picker. You can color pick. Obviously, you don't be able to see what I'm doing unless I do it in a different color. So let's make this brush bigger, just for color picking purposes. So you can color pick. Underneath it shows you the color that it already is on. On the top is the color that you're selecting, which is good if you just want something a little bit brighter, a little bit darker, and then you just let it go. You can change the opacity of the brush here, where you can build up textures. Okay, and they do have an undo button here. Okay, you can click it. I think the undo is infinite as far as I remember. However, I never use that undo button, and I never use sometimes I use the color picker from there, but actually I like to use the hand gesture. So if you select with your finger and hold, then you can use the color picker that way. If you double tap, if you use two fingers and you tap, not double tap, just regular tap, you can undo. If you use three fingers and tap on the screen, you can redo. If you use two fingers and just tap and hold, it'll undo, fast forward or rewind. And if you three fingers forward and hold, it'll fast forward. You know what I'm trying to say, okay? All right, so that's the brush. Now, you're like, well, I don't like that brush. It's a trash brush. Okay, I'm just gonna go here just to clear this. We'll talk about layers in a second. I don't like this brush. I want a different brush. You tap the brush. So you're on brush, boom, boom, boom. If you want to change the brush, you go here, and literally they have a bunch of pre-made brushes. I mean, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. But if you want to get a little, custom brush, why don't you go on ahead to my Patreon and join my Patreon to get free digital packs every month. Sometimes it's brushes, sometimes it's 3D models, sometimes it's vectors. Every month I'm doing digital pack giveaways. I'm doing wallpaper giveaways for different tiers. So make sure you read the tiers to see the different things that you can get. But of course, if you don't want to join the Patreon, but you just want to go to and you just want to get the brush, go to my Etsy shop, and all those things will be available for purchase. So if you don't want to pay monthly and get them randomly for free, but you want to get them on your own, that's fine too. Just go to my Etsy shop down below, and you'll be able to see the digital packs for brushes and all different type of things. Okay, so I do have brush pack 1. If you ever see my drawing and my inking pieces, this brush, this is my inking pen right here. Let me just clear this out. So actually, this is the sketch pen that I use. I call it a 6B pencil. It's a very thick sketch pencil. I like it thick because it's easy to control. It's more that lays down. And then this is my inking pen. It has a certain aesthetic that I'm used to, that I had to make that is comfortable for me, and I think you guys will enjoy it. It has a little bit of a what do you call it? Oh gosh, what's it called? A streamline, I think that's what it's called, where it kind of fixes the lines for you a little bit, but not so much where it's so perfectly smooth. So there's a little bit in there. I made it perfect for me, and I think you guys will enjoy it. Okay, so that's how you can change your brushes. Now, let's put some color down, right? This is one of my brushes. So like a tree brush, but I'm just kind of putting some color down. Now, you'll find the same exact brushes inside of the smear tool and the eraser, which I love that. The same exact brushes, same order and everything. It's just the way you use it is different. So in the smear, as you can see, all the same brushes are in here. Some of these packs you're not going to see because they're either packs I purchased or packs I created, but they do have a lot of default packs, right? But let's just say the smear tool, same thing. You can make the brush a little bit bigger. As you can see, I'm just smearing the colors that are already there, and it's blending very well. This comes in handy, especially if you're trying to make some type of facial, if you're dealing with, you know, faces or skin tones or anything like that. You can easily, you know, blend the shadows, the highlights to really make a really cool texture thing. So in the beginning, I wasn't really using the smear tool, but just over time I began to use it, and I just love what you can do with it. And as you can see, the same thing with the eraser. You know, you can come in and you're just erasing whatever you need to erase. You can make the brush big, whatever you want to do to create whatever you want to create, how you want to create it. You can use it with these tools. We'll do a deep dive on how to make custom brushes, how to manipulate the brushes in a different video. That's a lot going on. Okay, now you have, I'm just going to clear this up, the layers. Okay, now you see I can't delete that layer. By default, these are the two layers you're going to get. You're going to get a background layer and you're going to get layer 1. Now the background layer is the background color, which is white. You can turn it off if you ever need anything transparent. So let's say you drew something and you're like, all right, I don't want a background because I want to bring it in as, you know, as a transparent. You can turn off the background here and then export it. I'll show you how to export it as a PNG, or I think you could do TIFFs, I'm not sure, or a Photoshop file, and then boom, you have your transparent image. Okay. You can also change the color of that image to whatever you want. Although this is useful because you're seeing the color changing right off the bat, I never use that. Me personally, I don't like that I click it and then I'm in the color. I don't like that. I don't know what it is about that. Maybe it's easier. Me personally, I never do that. I always use this layer as my background layer, you know, because then I have more control on what I want to do. Also, the background color can't be manipulated by the molds. So let's talk about that real quick. So let me clear this. Actually, let's lay that down. Let's do, I don't know, let's just do like a brown or something. Okay, we'll talk about the color in a minute. We'll do a layer up. I'm just gonna lock this. So as you can see, when you swipe the layer, this information comes out. Of course, you can delete it here. You can duplicate the file like that. So now it's 2 of them. Or you can lock it. I lock it often because if I select this, so you can swipe to do these features, but if you select, you get more menus. Now let's say I select, okay, and I want to do a clipping mask. I can clip into a locked layer, which is great. Okay, if I tap the screen, you'll get this menu. Now you see where it says merge down. If I click that, guess what happens? It says lock layer selected. This is a good thing because sometimes you might accidentally hit that. I've accidentally merged down on a layer many times and I didn't find out until it was done and I was drawing on the wrong layer. But if you lock the layer, at least you get this warning. So I like to lock layers often, not every single layer because that's also tedious, but at least the main important layers I will lock just so I can work a little bit harder without being interrupted by a mistake. Okay, now let's go back to the mold. So let's just do, I don't know, this red, and let's pick another brush in the Cutt pack. Actually, let's go to this brush. Actually, this brush is my, oh no, not this one. Where is it at? This brush here. I call it Impossible. It's the Impossible brush. If you know the Cinderella Brandy movie, then you know this is the whimsical magic that comes off of the fairy godmother. And the great thing is Cinderella actually posted this drawing. I'm gonna post it right here. They posted this drawing on social media, so I was really hyped because I made a custom brush dedicated to that movie. So that's in pack, just in case you're wondering which pack that's in, it's in Cutt pack 3. So if you want this particular brush, that's where it's at. Okay, now I did this as I was talking, But you can see I went straight to add. Add is one of my favorite modes. We're not going to go into like what the modes do, but here you can go and you can do different modes. So you can change them to whatever you need it to be accordingly. Like I said, that's a whole video in itself on what these all do. I don't even know what all of them do. I know what maybe like 70% of them do. Because some of them, like, I don't really understand what the math is mathing here. But at the very least, add is one of the most important ones, because as you can see, you can really build up. Oh, let me make this a little bit. You can build up any, see how it's getting brighter where it overlays. You might want that. Okay, so we're getting there. We're getting there. Now let's clear this. Okay, so you see I selected it and then I selected clear, which I love. Okay, we're gonna go back to normal, which is the normal mode. In here, so let's get some black. Let's get a different brush. Okay, there we go. Okay. Inside of here, you can change the opacity of the layer. So if you go back to where it says end, this is where the modes are at. You can literally just drag your opacity down accordingly to where you need it, which you'll find you'll do often as you draw. Okay, so that's everything. I'm not going to go into all the details here. Yes, you can select, you know, different areas and stuff, but I think that's a video for another time of all the things you can do there. But these are some things, if you just select here, these are some things that you can do for the future. Okay, now let's go on over to the color. Now if you just select here, you can move around any color you want. If you drag, you can drag and drop your color. Okay, now if you, let's clear this. All right, and let's do I need like a softer. All right, let's come out of mine. Let's go to airbrush. Let's make it black. Let's make it smaller. Okay. Also, it does have pressure sensitivity on the brush. Okay, and I'm just kind of putting some random textures around. Okay, and you're like, oh, I made it black, I wanted to make it red. All right, so you go on, you make it red, you drag it. If I let go, you can see it's like, oh man, it's only grabbing some of it. You got to drag. See how that bar is moving? This is your threshold. Okay, so you can literally start from here, and now the whole thing is red. Or you're like, oh no, I don't want the whole thing to be red, I just want certain areas. You can get certain areas. So it's just about your threshold being moved around. Okay, now let me show you something they just added that I was like, thank you, finally. So let's grab black again. This time I'm gonna do a really hard shape. Okay, I'm just gonna make some segments. Boom. Now I can drag, drop, and you see where it says at the top, continue filling? Oh man, I didn't know it had a timer. Right, you select that, and now you can just select in any area because you're locked. You can go in, change the color, and continue. I've been asking for that feature for the longest. I was always saying, why not just make this a double tap? If you just make this a double tap, then you could just turn it. But the way they did it probably is a little bit better. But I was always like, make it make sense, y'all. Make it make sense. Okay, so now, so you can do your color here. Now you can change it from the disc to classic to harmony, which is cool if you want to play around with what colors work, all that jazz. You can do the value system, and then you can do palettes. Personally, I like classic because this is what I grew up on, from the paint program all the way down to, you know, where I'm at now with everything. So this is classic. The disc, I get why people like it. It is pretty cool, but it's all a preference. It's all totally up to you. Now, if you go back to the palettes, then you can see at the bottom here, it says Cutt. I call that the Cutt palette. Really, I need to update it because my Cutt character doesn't really use these colors quite the same anymore. But anyway, but it's just been sitting here and I just pull them from here. Plus, there are certain colors I use often as my bases and I just pull from there. But if you're like, okay, I want to use, you know, they have some preset ones where you can make your own. If you want to use a preset one, you can literally click this button here where the little dots are, and then you do set as default. And then when you go back, now you have this as your default. You literally just select and color, select and color. And you might be like, well, I don't want to keep going back and forth, If you click the color and you just drag it, you can literally just move it to the side. Especially if you know you're going to be coloring a lot, especially if you know you're coloring like a comic book and you have a lot of preset color. Just pull this aside, grab. I want to drag and drop from here. I didn't even know that. We're learning things. So literally, seems like you can. Wait, did it work? You can. Look, I'm learning with you. So you can literally drag it from here, select to continue, and then come on now. I wish I'd known that. How I'm figuring out stuff with y'all for y'all. All right, calm down. Anyway, so as you can see, and you can just close this, come back up here. I'm gonna go back to my Cutt. Where's that? Somewhere in here. Cutt. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Set as default, and then boom, back to the regular. So that's the right side. That's the side you're going to be using most often. Let's clear this up. Actually, no, let's keep it. I just sound like this brown. Like, who picks brown? What is going on? Okay. I don't know what the trash art this is. Okay. Actually, no, let's pick a piece of art just to see what these next parts do. Okay, I decided to go with this piece because this is my top drawing on YouTube right now on my stories. It's like popping. It's Michael. It makes sense. Okay, but I just want to do this because when we go to this next part, it's about manipulation a lot, and I need something to manipulate, and I don't want it to be scribble anymore. I'm tired of it. Okay, so let me first. So this is maybe a good example. So as you can see how I'm using my layers. Different layers are doing different things. You know, I have my character in this group. I got the background in this group. If I turn this all off, you can see I have, oh, I didn't show you how to group. Okay, let me do this now. All right, so inside the layers, this is really important. So let's say you're like, all right, I got this character and I got this fog on two separate layers. And I got this reference board, okay? Okay, I want them all in one group. What you can do is you can slide to your left. See how it went this way? You can slide to your left and you can slide as many things as you want. And then a group will pop up as long as you have two things. Click group and boom, you have a group. All this information, when you save it as a Photoshop file, if you ever need to, it translates very perfectly into Photoshop. That's the best part about this. Although I don't use Photoshop often, but when I do need to use it, that's one of the best parts. Of course, you can undo. It'll remember all that information. So I'm just gonna delete this for the sake of this section here. So as you can see, I'm just ungrouping. Okay, I think this is the background, so we're gonna flatten this. We're gonna delete this. We're gonna delete this, and we're gonna flatten this. There we go. So now I just have the three layers, the character and the background. Okay. Now let's start with the left side. Okay. Well, let's finish with the left side. So you are where it says gallery, that's how you get out again. Okay. And here where the settings are, you know, let's go from the right side. So then you have the setting, the selection, excuse me. So right now I'm on this layer. So now I can select this layer. But let's say you're like, well, I need this layer and I need the fog. So you can grab the fog, you can grab the character, and then you go and select. Now you see the fog going with it. Now I'm grabbing both of them. Okay. Now, let's say you're like, all right, I need to select a particular section, right? So you go, so while we're here, before we talk about specific, sections, I want to show you what happens inside of here. So you got your layer selected. You could do your horizontal flip, vertical flip. You can rotate with your 45 degrees. Okay. You can flip the entire, you can fit to the canvas. I said flip the canvas. Okay. We'll get into this. Is another video because I just learned this. It's not much going on, but I don't feel like explaining it in this video. Okay. And then because we're still in this, you can do reset and it'll take you back to the original before you make any changes. Okay. Now, right now, that's your moving. Now, let me just, pinching. So let's say you want to move your canvas around. Like, I don't like my canvas being all the way over here. 2 fingers. You can literally pinch and zoom. You can move it, undo. You can move your canvas around. If I come out of here, literally just 2 fingers. You can zoom in if you need to get some details going. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, let's go back here. Let's move it over. Okay. Now, if you want to you don't have to use those bottom ones. You can literally just rotate by pulling the green. See this little green knob? You can rotate without it clipping, without it snapping to any grid. Okay. Now, let's say you rotate it like this, but now what do you call these? The transform box is all weird. You could take the yellow part down here and rotate it to be the direction you want it to be. In most cases, you're not using this. A lot of times you're not using this, but the fact that it's in there, fantastic. Okay, I'm going to undo. Actually, I'm going to reset, so it brings it all the way back. Okay, now, if you're like, all right, I want to just scale it. I don't want to scale it uniformly. I just want to scale, right? So right now, it's uniformly scaled. So no matter where you pull it from, you can pull it from the edge. No matter where you pull it, it's going to be uniformly scaled. Most of the time you want that. And you can see it says at the bottom, it says uniform. But sometimes you need to stretch it. Go to freeform. Boom. Now you can stretch it however you want. Very important. Very important. Okay. Then you can also distort. I find myself using this often, maybe not for characters, but for many things, right? You can distort. And then you can warp. I also use this pretty often as well, especially in the sketch stage. So you can literally warp. There's a liquefy, which is more if I need something a little bit more intimate, a little bit more detail. But if I'm just doing something really quick or big, I'll use this to warp. Okay. Now let's just reset it. Now let's go back to here. See where it says snapping? Right now, I only have snapping on because I only like it to snap to like the edges and stuff, pretty much. However, if you turn on magnetics, then it'll stay. See that blue? It's almost like if you're on Photoshop or anything, you can hold Shift and keep it on the same X and Y. That's what that is. But honestly, I feel like snapping's enough personally for that. So I just kind of keep it just on snapping because I like the fact it's a little bit more free and I can still get what I need in that way. Okay, so that's the select. This is the select tool. Really, really important. Now, or is it called the select tool or is it the grab tool? I guess it's more like the grab because this is the select tool. Now you'll see some stuff is similar, kinda, but really not. So what's going to happen is I'm like, oh, I just want the mask. I don't want the whole body. So if you select here, see how it says freehand? I can select whatever area. You can literally just draw it on that you want. And then if you go to select, see how they're kind of both grabbed? Now I can just move it and do all the same things that I had before with just this thing, right? Now let's say you're like, oh, all right, but I want that, but on another layer. Now that you have it selected, if you do, undo, where'd it go? Where did it go? Yeah. There we go. If you swipe up, 3 fingers swipe up. This is the most important. 3 fingers swipe up, you get the cut, the copy, the copy all, duplicate, cut, paste, and paste. This is your friend. This is your best friend. You understand? So then if I'm like, oh, I want this but on separate layer, you can do cut, paste, boom. And now you can see it's on its own layer. Let's say you're like, oh yeah, but I actually need it duplicated. You can swipe up 3 fingers, you do duplicate. Now you have the main one, and then you have the head. I mean, come on. Procreate, like, get it together, y'all. Y'all don't know about that Procreate life, right? So obviously you can just copy it and then paste it layer. You can just cut it. All the same tools that we see in pretty much every program. That's how you get to that. It's lovely. Okay. Now, if we go back to the select tool, just gonna delete this. Go back here. Okay. Now, what's the best way to show this? So you have the automatic. This might not be the best example, but let's say I just want the brown in his hand, in his what do you call this thing? What do you call this? What's the thing? What's the thing? Glove thingy. Okay. If you select automatic, go to where the brown is, and then drag just like you did your threshold. You can drag. This is not a good example of when you would use this, to be honest, but you could drag to about what you need. You let go. And now if you do select tool, now you have that brown. Okay. Would you use it in this moment? In this case, I personally would not, but it does come in handy when you just need a particular thing. The thing I usually use it for is if, let's say I have a bunch of things and I want to fill it in with color and it's a bunch of like shapes or something. I would go here, select the outside of that shape. See how I'm selecting the outside? Okay. And then mind you could do multiple selections. Okay. I would do that. I would click invert. See where it says invert? Okay. Let's just put this on. So now we're out of that, but just you can see it selected. Let's just make a new layer. So after making a new layer, I would fill. That's where I use it often. I wouldn't use it in this case, but if I have like it was a bunch of like little, I don't know, cupcakes all over the place, and I'm like, dang, I need to fill them all in at once. Instead of color dropping, I would select the outside, the silhouette of everything, invert it, fill it in, and then I would get this. So you can see how that can really come in handy. Okay. Let's delete that. Let's go back here. So you can see there's a lot going on inside of the section. So obviously you got your regular selections here. We can get the square, you got your circle or ellipse, right? All the same stuff, Let me undo that. Okay. And yep, you can, add, remove, nothing. Oh yeah. So here, let me do this one. You can, feather. So it's hard to see, but you can kind of feather your selection, and you see how that's amazing. I love that. You get what I'm saying? Like you feathered your selection like that, and yet it kept this. Come on, y'all not ready for Procreate, y'all. You're not ready. You're not ready. So you can see there's a lot you can do inside the selection tool. Okay, now let's go on over to some fun stuff. Now we're not going to go super deep into all this because there's a lot going on, but there's some. I'll go to the ones that I think you'll use the most. I'm trying to make this a beginner, a one-on-one. Okay, a one-on-one. All right, so I think the top one definitely you will use the hue and saturation, because you might be like, oh, I need a little bit more vibrant, and as you can see, it's only on the layer you're selecting, which is great. Okay, only on the layer you're selecting. Like, oh, I need to change the colors, I need it brighter, you're definitely going to use that often. Okay, now you can do the overall, or if you select the top and it says layer or pencil, you can also apply it only to the brush, which, come on y'all. So you could take a brush, see how it went all magical on you, and let's make it something obvious. You can see how it's only applied to the brush area. Like, come on, y'all. Only applied to the brush area. That's, I mean, you can really do some cool manipulation with that feature, okay? So, and that's with all the special features, okay? So I'm just gonna come out of this and I'm gonna undo this. Okay, there we go. So I would definitely use that. Color balance, yeah, you can use. Curves, yeah, you can use. Gradient maps, yeah, you can use. But I think we'll do another video on going deep into how to use those, but they're not necessary. However, the one I use often, I'm gonna actually switch to the background, is Gaussian blur. That is one of the best features of any program. And here it is. Gaussian blur. Oh, you're like, well, nothing happened. You gotta play with your threshold. Play with your threshold. And look, just by doing that, look how much he separated, you know, by blurring out. Sometimes you don't want to blur out backgrounds, but in some cases you want a little blur because anything in the forefront is going to pop. Okay, so you can see you can go all the way. And this is great. If, let's say, you know, obviously maybe not for this particular piece, but look at this beautiful color palette that was created when blurring. Sometimes that's a cool way to get some really unique colors, is by having a completed drawing or a completed piece of art or a completed photo and blur it all the way to you can't go no more and get the main colors from that. Love it. Okay, so that's one feature. Another blurring feature that I use is the motion blur. Okay, and this one is as you move the pen. It's kind of weird because you're also trying to get your threshold, but you're also trying to get your position. So I don't know. It's kind of weird, but it works. So if you're like, I want it to look like, you know, he was running down the street or something like that, and maybe you want it from left to right, you know, and then you get your threshold going. Boom, you got your left to right. Similarly to that is, I'll come out of this. Similar to that is a perspective blur, which I also use. I don't use it all as much as the Gaussian blur, but as you can see, oh, I'm on the character. It's going according to the perspective. So you're like, oh, I want the middle to be clear, but everything else to be kind of blurry. You can literally move, right? And then they have even directional, where it's just pointing in the direction. I mean, it's quite amazing. It's quite amazing. So it's like, nope, I only want it from the bottom down. I mean, it's amazing. Like, I can't. Okay, so I use that one often. These next ones, they added. It is cool. I don't use them as much, this group, but I can see where you would. So you got like the noise texturing, where you can do different noise. There's a lot of features in that. You can use the bloom, but I don't like using the bloom because I feel like it's too much. Like, I'd rather control what's going to be, you know, super glossy and not. I'd rather have that control. So you can see, you can really play with it. Now, the one I do use often is the liquefy. I use it, especially in the sketch stage. You might sketch something looking all right, but it's a little wonky wonk. Go on ahead and do some liquefy, do some pushing around, and you can see how much that will help you. So literally, you can see, you can mix the whole thing up if you want. But sometimes, usually I keep it on push. You can make your size pretty big. And, you know, you just manipulate a little bit. You know, you can manipulate it however you want. I'm like, oh, I want my eyebrows to be. And as you can see, also, even though this is on one layer, if you wanted to apply to all the layers, you just select the layers you needed to apply to, go to the tool, and as you can see, it does everything, although it's on a different layer. So don't think it has to all be flattened into one layer. No, not at all. Okay. So that's pretty much it. Well, you do have this clone tool. For me, I don't need it, but if you're doing more like Photoshop work, yeah, it's pretty cool because you can literally, let's say you're like, all right, I'm gonna take this blue. I forgot how to do it. How you do it? How do you do it? Yeah. Oh, duh, I'm on the wrong layer. I'm like, why it's not working? Come on now. Okay, there it is. So with your, what in the, okay, I get it. We're learning together. Okay, inside the circle, you go to where you want to clone from, and then outside of that, you can literally, just like Photoshop, clone it out. You can change the brush to something a little bit, you know, softer. I mean, this is not a good example where you would do it, but you get the point. You get the point. Okay. So let's come out of that. So that's the main stuff. Let's talk about the last box, which is a pretty important box, is your settings action box. All right. So let's start with add. So here is where you're like, all right, I got what I need, but I'm missing. Oh, I'm missing that photo. You can add insert from a file similar to inside of the main section. You can do it from there, where you're bringing it in as a project. But here is just to add it into where you are. You can insert a photo. Okay, you can take a photo. Okay, use the photo. Now it's inside. Boom, there you go. That's my background now. I mean, whatever. Okay, you can copy the canvas. So if you copy the canvas, I think it keeps all that information and puts it in the file. Let's see that we can test it now. We're just gonna move on. Okay, and then you can add text. Maybe 0.5 times I'll use the text here, but just because I'd rather go to Illustrator and do it there. Oops, let's come up to the top here, but I can show you a quick. Literally, you select it. Okay, it'll pop up. You can type. Actually, let me just say, hey, y'all. How you do, y'all? Y'all, is that y'all? I know I can't spell, read, or count. All that stuff. They got some built-in fonts, all that. I'm not that, you know, I don't know it like that. I don't know if you can change the fonts to, oh yeah, you can import the font. There it is. It says it right here, import font. But you know, I don't really use it often just because I feel like if I'm gonna use text, I'm gonna go to where I'm gonna use it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But same thing. If you want to change the color, just while we're here, you can select it. Let's go inside. Okay, and then you go to, where'd it go? What? Oh yeah. So you literally, okay. You literally could just change. Okay. See, this is why. Okay, this is why I don't use this tool. Okay, there we go. So you can literally just change it here. Okay, and then boom. Now you have text. They added this in I think 4. I don't use it, but whatever. To each his own. Okay, so there you go. Then you have the canvas. You can crop your canvas or lack thereof. I don't typically like to crop in here only because when you do your speed drawing, you'll see black bars until you cropped it, and I don't really like that. So I try to avoid that at all costs, but sometimes it's just unavoidable and you got to do it. Okay, so I'm just going to take that back. All right, we're not going to talk about animation assist right now. That's a whole nother video. We're not going to talk about page assist right now. Whole nother video. We will talk about drawing guide, however. Okay, if you turn on drawing guide, you'll see a grid pops up. That's the default. If you go to edit drawing guide, you can go from a grid. You can go from isometric grid. You can do perspective, and you can do symmetry. Okay. We're not going to go deep into this, but I am going to talk about symmetry a little bit. So you go, let's say you do symmetry. Let's just close. Actually, let's turn this off. Let's do another layer. Let's go to black. Okay. If you select and you go to drawing assist, it usually does it by default. It was actually on this layer, but I want it to be on this one. Now everything is symmetrical. This really comes in handy. I did a video, I don't know if this is before or after it came out, about eyes, how you can use this tool to make some cool eyes. These look crazy, but you can see how that could really come in handy. So we need a deep dive into this tool because there's a lot that you can do with that, but just know that that's there. I'm just gonna delete that. I'm gonna turn this off so we don't see the grid anymore. Reference, all right, we'll talk about it here. You can use your canvas as a reference. So let's say you're like, let me go here. Oops. And you can literally see what you're working on, especially if you're doing a big piece and you need to know, like I'm over in this corner, I need to know how it feels to the whole drawing. Useful. If you're doing an image, come on, right? You're like, oh, I'm gonna draw SpongeBob, I need a reference. You can use that. You can do, let's go back, face. Oh, I forgot about this feature. Nobody's doing that. But you could essentially, like, this is the eyeballs. You see how it's drawing on my eyeballs? I mean, you know, I guess it's cool. But ain't nobody doing that. Ain't nobody doing that. Nobody's doing that. Maybe I'll do it one day. I mean, it's kind of cool, but ain't nobody doing all that. Ain't nobody doing all that. Anyway, point is, it's here. The reason I was almost not going to show you is because the way I use it, I just bring a side thing over and just, you know, like I just did my eye tutorial. I like it like that personally. Plus I like this app. You can do more to it if you want to get viz revs. I'm not, you know, repping or anything, but going ahead, I think it's available on any tablet. I'll try to put it in the description down below. You know, it's not sponsored or anything, but viz ref is really good. It's really good. Anyway, this canvas looks crazy. So okay. Okay, so that's that. And then of course you can, where are we at? Okay, you can flip your canvas here, but personally I would typically, I just do it here. We just select the screen, and I think by default you got the flip here. So that's where I usually do it. I don't go all the way up here. Okay, canvas information. I don't typically go here unless I want to go to layers and know how many layers I have left. So the maximum amount of layers I can have for this piece is 111. I've only used 4. That means 107 are left. Okay. They added it where now you get more layers. They need to add it where you get even more. This is only this because of how big this canvas is. You can get up to 400 layers, but it just depends on how big the size is. So this is just a good reminder. Also, if you go to the stats, you can see how long your track time is. This is saying 5 hours and 17 minutes. We haven't been on this canvas. We probably only been on this canvas for like maybe 17 minutes, but we've been on this particular drawing because I duplicated it, kept all that information. And because we duplicated it, it was probably about 5 hours it took for me to actually draw the Michael Jackson thing. It shows all the strokes I made, how long it takes, all that stuff. So it got all the information there, which is great. Here's how you share the file, where you can save it as a Procreate file, Photoshop file, PDF file, JPEG, PNG, a TIFF, and you can even save it as individual layers. So if you see where it says share layers, if you click PDF, PNG, or all the other ones, it's going to take all those layers and save them individually. I don't use that often unless I'm specifically knowing I need every layer saved for a very specific reason, but that almost never happens. You know, and remember, if you wanted just the background, you could literally turn everything off, go to share, and do a PNG file or a TIFF file, and you'll get that transparency. Or you can do your Photoshop file and then turn off the layer there as well. Okay. Now, importantly, is video. This is why Procreate is #1 in my opinion. Is because it has a built-in time lapse. It's already turned on. Already turned on. If you do. Right now, this is because I duplicated, so it's showing the whole thing. If you select it, it's showing you a preview of the speed drawing. If you use your finger, you can speed it up. And this is just you viewing it. It's not about how it's saved. It's just a replay. So you can rewind, you can speed it up, and go all the way to even look at our craziness. Keep that in mind, that it's going to remember everything you do. So if you know that you're using this as a video, don't write nothing crazy. Don't do nothing crazy because it's going to show up. Don't make a mistake. Or you can make mistakes, but don't, just be aware of what you're doing because it's recording everything. Okay, let's go back to there. Now, oops, if you And then of course you can export the video. If you click export, you can either export as a 30-second or full length. I like to do full length because I like to stretch it according to whatever music I'm going to use for YouTube and then social media and all that stuff. But if you know you're just doing it quick, get yourself a 30-second video and you can save it anywhere from there. Okay. Now, where it says time-lapse recording, now I'm going to show you here. Right now, it's by default, it's always on. If I turn it off, it's going to say purge video. Do you want to delete existing recording video? This cannot be undone. So I'm going to say do not purge, right? If I purge it, what happens is it'll keep the artwork and everything, but the video replay is gone. You can't look at the replay. You can't send it or anything like that. I'm going to say do not purge. But if we go back, as you can see, the time-lapse recording button is off. So keep that in mind. If you ever turn it off, although you didn't purge it, you have to turn it back on if you wanted to continue to record your process. Okay. When do you ever use that? Let's say you are sending someone a Procreate file, or you're sending them the information, but you don't want them to have the speed drawing, you can purge it. So even though they get the Procreate file with all layers, they don't have the process built up. So those are the times you might want to use it. For instance, when I did my digital coloring book, let me plug that now. If you want that, first of all, the digital coloring book, I'm going to make available for anybody who joins the Patreon crew. If you join the Patreon, you get that no matter what, or you can purchase it on my Etsy shop. You'll get that no matter what. You can always download that for free. But I had to purge the speed drawings process so that people can just get the artwork and not the process behind it, because that's mine. Okay. All right. I don't really touch anything inside of here. I just kind of, there's nothing really in here that's important. But if you're, I'm right-handed, but if you're left-handed, you can do a left-handed interface. This, it's important stuff, but it's just uncommonly used, Okay. Didn't know that. So anyway, keep that in mind, that there's stuff in here that you can use, and there's some help stuff that I don't know anything about. And that's it. Okay, I know that was all over the place. This is my first time doing a 101, so I was 101ing myself as well. But that is everything. I do think Procreate changed my life, and this is not me being exaggerated. Oh, I just moved my camera. What's going on over here? That is not me being extra, because I am extra, but it's just me saying how it really truly has changed my life. Procreate brought so much business to me. My skill has developed drastically. If you look at my first Procreate drawings to pieces like this, I mean, night and day. It's definitely groundbreaking. I think it's way better than the Photoshop for drawing. And people fight me on that, and I don't care. It's way better than Photoshop for drawing. I used Photoshop for a long time for drawing, and it was good and all, but this, you just can't beat being able to walk in, take this anywhere. That's the thing. This tablet is already amazing as it is, but now you can walk away and just sit on your couch and draw, sit anywhere, go to a coffee shop, go to a coffee shop. Okay, I love that. So definitely am excited to show you a lot more tips. I'm going to make note of all the things I said I'm going to revisit. We'll make individual videos for everything, because I think those things are so detailed that they need their own videos. I'm going to continue to do drawing tutorials. I don't know if I'm putting this out first or the drawing tutorials, but anything, but I already started how to draw eyes, how to do makeup on characters, how to draw noses, how to draw body parts, how to draw clothing onto characters, how to sketch, how to ink. All those videos are coming out. I'm preparing them now, so I'm looking forward. Don't forget, if you want early access to the tutorials, go ahead and join my Patreon. Everyone in the Patreon gets early access to the drawings. The second tier gets the free wallpapers, and the third tier gets the digital packs for free monthly. And then, everybody gets everything else that goes into the order. Anyway, read it. It all makes sense. If you have not already, don't forget to like, subscribe, push that notification button, because we're going to keep bringing this stuff to you. Oh my gosh, that's it. I can't. What are you doing? I know you're not about to leave. It's mad buttons down there. You ain't pushed on one of them. You better subscribe to my channel. See you soon.